Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum friends. Hope you all are doing well and enjoying learning linguistics with Tia and language and linguistics. In this lecture, we are going to learn about introduction to semantics and pragmatics. This will be an overview, but detailed study will be in the next few lectures. Semantics and pragmatics both study the meaning of language, but in different styles. Semantics deals with dictionary and literal meanings, whereas pragmatics concerns with the communicative and contextual meanings of the sentence. So let's move to our first slide to learn about these concepts a little bit in detail. Semantics is the part of linguistics that is concerned with the study of literal, decontextualized, and grammatical meanings. Here, literal meanings means that semantic is the study of actual meanings of the word or the real meaning. They don't use figurative or symbolic language. For instance, if someone says it was raining outside, so I rode by bus instead of bike, it literally means that there must be rain, so this person has to travel by bus. Next, we have decontextualized meaning. Decontextualized meanings are isolating a word from the sentence or interpreting the meaning of a word out of the context. Next type of meaning in semantic is dictionary meaning. That is also the literal meaning and free from the symbolic or figurative language. They are the fixed one and usually you can find them in dictionary. Next, we have grammatical meanings. Grammatical meanings are conveyed in a sentence by word order, or you can say whatever the meanings of sentence you perceive when it is in the well-formed or in grammatically correct, that is called grammatical meanings. And in grammatical meanings, we have grammatical signals like prepositions, modals, auxiliary verbs, articles, and conjunctions. We also have sign meanings in semantics. Sign is a form of language in its own right, and it is specifically meant to communicate certain information. And signs are usually informative, regulatory warning, or you can say a sign is a form of language that is descriptive in nature, like you usually read while traveling as a road sign like don't enter sign, or whatever written on the board while traveling on road like don't enter is a type of sign. A sign could stand for something and it may be mandatory to be followed. Next, we have symbol. Symbol is a form of sign that may have deep meaning. It represents something that is acceptable by certain subjective areas. Example of symbol could be a letter like A, B, C that can stand for a chemical element or a character in musical notation. Or you can say symbol is a something that represent another thing. It can be a picture, a letter, or a spoken and written word. So semantics is the study of literal, decontextualized, dictionary, meaning, as well as the interpretation of sign and symbol is also the part of semantics. Linguistic semantics is the study of how languages organize and express meanings. For example, the word tree is a linguistic sign. A linguistic sign is not a link between thing and name, but between a concept and a sound pattern. For example, the concept of a tree is leaf, size, shape, color, and texture, as you can see in this picture. And the sound pattern is the frequency and distributional pattern of the phoneme. A sound pattern is the listener's psychological impression of a sound, and is given to him by the evidence of his senses. As Saussure says, that a linguistic sign is a communication of a concept and a sound image. So, linguistic signs are the combination of the written form, the word, like here we have word that is written tree and its orthographic or written form, and phonological form is the sound, like how we say the word tree, and how we perceive, or the listeners are perceiving the word of this, the sound of the word tree is the phonological form. So linguistic semantics is the study of how language organize and express meanings. Orthography is the study of correct spellings according to established usage, and it is the study of the system of written language or spelling. And phonology studies the speech sound in a language. Semantic analysis generally must explain how the sentences of a particular language are understood, interpreted, and related to states, process, and objects in the world. So, semantics is the study of the contribution made to meaning by the meanings of linguistic items and the way they are combined. Linguistics items are the speech form of the word and the way they are combined. Linguistic semantics deal with word meanings, or you can say the study of how and what the words of a language denote, and it usually focuses on the mapping of words to concept. Lexical semantics is the subfield of linguistics that studies how and what words of language denote and thus involves the meaning of individual words. Compositional semantic deals with the way the meaning of lexical item combine to give phrase and sentence meaning. When sentence meaning is derived from lexical meaning, this process is called composition. Complex expression whose meanings are not stored in the lexicon have compositional meaning, and compositional semantics formulating semantic rules that build the meaning of a sentence based on the meanings of the word and how they combine. Pragmatics is a study of meaning, and these meanings are communicated by the speaker and perceived as well as interpreted by the listeners. In the definition of pragmatics, we have speaker and listener's meaning as well as cultural and contextual meanings. These meanings are also invisible in nature, and the inference or the meanings of the speaker's communication depends on shared knowledge, or you can say the background knowledge between the speaker and the listener. So, pragmatics is the study of invisible meaning, or how we recognize what is meant even when it isn't actually said or written. This includes background knowledge, context, people know about each other and the world. Speaker is a sender who says something to communicate his desire, ideas, and feelings. For example, a speaker is in a meeting, conference, or other gathering who is making a speech or giving a talk. In contrast, listener is the one who is decoding or receiving or listening the speaker and decoding the meaning from the communication of the speaker. Culture is the entire way of life for a group of people, or you can say customary belief, social forms, material traits of racial, religious, or social groups, and the combination of these things is called culture. So, pragmatics may vary from culture to culture, and the relationship between the linguistic form or speech form and the communicative function is of central interest in pragmatics. Pragmatics is also study the use of language by keeping in view the context. Pragmatics, we have several types of context like physical context, linguistic context, and social context. Semantics studies meanings via sentences, and pragmatics studies meaning through utterances. Sentences are always abstract and they are not usually constructed for encoding or decoding, or you can say communicating message for any listener. In contrast, pragmatics studies context, so utterances are the fragments of ideas in the communication, so they are always context dependent and concrete in nature, and they have meanings. Most obvious distinction between the sentence and utterance is that utterance will have spatio-temporal, or you can say physical properties, while the sentences doesn't. So sentences are abstract linguistic structure and they don't have context. They are not produced by speaker or received by the listener. So utterance is an instance of the production of sentence or a fragment of a sentence. Proposition is a complete statement based on truth and untruth condition of the sentence. So proposition is studied under the heading of semantics, and pragmatics studies implicature and inferred meaning. Implicature is something the speaker suggests or implies with an utterance. It is not literally expressed. Inferences are logical conclusion based on observation and prior knowledge. They are only indirectly triggered by explicit language structure. Whatever listeners perceive based on his shared culture and background knowledge, as well as keeping in view the context, is called utterance. That is studied under the heading of pragmatics. Similarly, sentences usually donate literary or dictionary meaning, but utterances are used for communicative purpose and for communicating in the real world situation. They usually share speakers and listeners' background knowledge as well as their culture and context. So semantics is the study of scientific and philosophical meaning. These meanings are usually literal, dictionary, and decontextualized in nature. Whereas pragmatics is the study of encoded and decoded meaning sent by the speaker and perceived by the listener by keeping in view social and cultural context. So semantics deals with the out of context and decontextualized sentences. In contrast, pragmatics is always context dependent and studies meaning of the language via utterances. Those are the fragments of the sentences. They are context dependent. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe Language and Linguistics or Linguistic with Tia. Soon question and answer session will be available on website, and you can also find the transcript of this lecture that will be uploaded soon.